afternoon, listeners. It's Nono Maseko again from the South African Depression Anxiety Group, your senior mental health counselor. As we're celebrating Women's Month, we're saying women's voice matters wherever you are, whether you are in a professional or you are in politics or you are a domestic worker or you are a housewife, your voice matters. Self-care, it's very much important. During this month, as women, we need to pamper ourselves. That doesn't mean that we are selfish, but it's our time, it's our month. Today, I'm not working alone. I am with Naledi, a lawyer from Werksman Attorneys. But before I can give her the platform, I like to remind listeners, especially from Diepsloot, about our GBV event that will be taking place on Friday. I still say Extension 6 and Extension 2, please welcome us into our home. We will be doing a door-to-door tomorrow. We are not there to arrest anyone, we are not there to judge anyone, but we are here to bring you information. GBV is very high in Diepsloot, as we know, but most people don't know where to get help. There's a lot of services in Diepsloot. So today we are here to share about those services. So the event will start in Extension 6, which is a walkabout. We will be accompanied by Metro Police and SAPS. So we will walk until Extension 2, where the big event will be. Remember last week I did talk about where the event will be, which is a rape medical center. We will be based there from 10 to 1 o'clock. So come in numbers and come and support us. There will be a lot of stakeholders there. So if you never really get a chance to meet a lawyer, tomorrow you will meet a lawyer, Friday you'll meet a lawyer, but starting from today, you'll meet your lawyer. Our lawyer today is Naledi Motsiri. Like I said, she's from Werksman Attorneys. Hi, Naledi.
Hi.
Hi, Tando. We also have a junior lawyer in our studio. You're all welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Naledi, can you please tell us about your organization and the services that they're providing in Diepsloot?
Okay, so I am from Werksman's Attorneys, a corporate commercial law firm in Sandton. We also have offices in Cape Town and in Stellenbosch. So I am a director in the pro bono department, and I'm based in Sandton. So Werksman's Attorneys established a law clinic in Diepsloot in 2012. The law clinic serves the Diepsloot community and surrounding communities. So we provide free legal assistance to vulnerable people who cannot pay for their legal fees. We assist people on a range of matters. We staff the law clinic on Tuesdays and on Thursdays from 9 until 12 o'clock. So the services we offer include late registration of births, review of social grant applications. So if your application has been denied, your social grant application, we can help you with the review process. We also assist with consumer protection queries. We draft wills for free. We also advise on any type of contract. So before signing, it's advisable to come and see me so that I can review your contract free of charge, because that will prevent a whole lot of issues in future. So we also deal with a lot of housing related queries at the law clinic. Retirement policies, funeral covers, lots of funeral cover disputes, and we do child maintenance matters, domestic violence obviously, and labor laws and more. The only thing we don't do though is we do not help with RAF matters, and we also cannot do criminal law. So those are the only two things. Other things we are able to consult on.
Wow, thank you.
Yes.
So it's a lot that you're doing in Diepsloot, and you're doing it for free.
Yes.
So that was actually our next question.
Yes.
So I heard you mentioning free.
It's absolutely free. So it is designed to assist vulnerable people who cannot afford to pay a lawyer. So access to justice must be made available to everybody. So you cannot be prevented from accessing justice simply because you do not have the funds. So our law clinic is situated in Extension 10, and we not only help the residents of Extension 10 but surrounding areas, and it is absolutely free.
Wow, thank you. Now we get into the difficult matter. Can you tell us about the Domestic Violence Act and why amendments are done? Because most people really don't understand. We women will say we have our rights, but where does that put us when it comes to Domestic Violence Act?
All right, so it goes without saying that domestic violence is a crisis in South Africa. Not only domestic violence, gender-based violence. Women and children are not safe in South Africa. So our government has a duty to do something about that, and there are various laws that have been implemented to combat violence, and one of them is the Domestic Violence Act. So this act has been has been in force for a long time. However, what I'm going to discuss today is the recent changes that took place, right? So the Domestic Violence Act was amended by the Domestic Violence Amendment Act 2023. So this Amendment Act expanded protection orders, right? The definition of what is domestic violence, and also put new mechanisms and certain steps that we can add in order to protect victims of domestic violence. Because the aim of the Domestic Violence Act itself is to provide maximum protection to victims of domestic violence. So this Amendment Act added new definitions and certain things that would provide more protection to people who are suffering under domestic violence. So, and also you may recall in 2020 during the COVID pandemic, the president came up and said, yes, we are experiencing a COVID pandemic. However, domestic violence is a secondary pandemic, is a second pandemic in South Africa, because people were stuck because of the lockdown. They were in their houses with their abusers, and it was terrible. So the old Domestic Violence Act did not capture all forms of abuse. So this amendment, the 2023 amendment, modernizes the law by adding new definitions and refining the old definitions of protection of abuse.
Hello listeners, we are back again. Sorry we didn't say goodbye when we take a break, but we are back. We are continuing with our lawyer, Naledi Motsiri, from the Vexman Attorneys. She was telling us more about the Domestic Violence Act and why it was amended.
All right, so to expand on some of the changes, like I indicated, there were a few extra definitions of domestic violence that were added to the act, like spiritual abuse, elder abuse, controlling and coercive behavior, and exposing a child to domestic violence, to name a few. So I'm just gonna go through these ones because, I mean, for purposes of time.
Yes.
But spiritual abuse, for instance, is preventing someone from practicing their beliefs or forcing someone to practice religion or spirituality, right? Another way would be using religion to control or shame or isolate a person. An example would be preventing somebody from going to church, for instance. Or if somebody is a spiritual person, then you tell them that they are not allowed to practice their religion or their spirituality, for example. So that is now recognized as a form of abuse in the Domestic Violence Act. Another important one And this, in our law clinic work, we really see a lot of it. So a new definition or a new form of abuse has been added, which is elder abuse. So this relates to abuse of elderly people. So what is an elderly person? An elderly person is a person who is defined in the Older Persons Act as an elderly person. So it would be our gogos and kulus, right? So people who are 60 years old for women and 65-year-old for men. So they are abused in various ways. I mean, it can be neglect, financial exploitation, intimidation, or physical harm. So this part of the act recognizes their vulnerability as elderly people and indicates that specifically they can be abused as elderly people.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we also have coercive and controlling behavior. Wow. So the explanation is in the name, right? So this form of abuse, the abuser intends on isolating, intimidating, and dominating the victim, right? So examples would be monitoring your movements, monitoring your communications, cutting, financial independence, like emotional blackmail and threats. For example, there was a person who was instructed by her partner to be home every single day at 6 o'clock. And it so happened that she had car trouble on the way and she could not reach her partner to tell her that she's going to be late and that she's got car trouble. She was so scared that she actually called the partner. She actually called an Uber, left her vehicle there so that she could get home by 6 o'clock. You see, so I mean, by law, you are allowed to arrive in your home at any time, but this abuser was preventing her from exercising her freedom to arrive home at any time. So this is controlling coercive behavior. Or if somebody is just forcing you to do things that you don't want to do. It can be anything. So this is recognized as a form of abuse under the act. Emotional blackmail is a big one. Where you're told you're not allowed to see your family. Your family is this and that, or you may not have friends. So this person is trying to isolate you so that you can just be solely reliant on them, and then you are, you can't exercise your freedom that has been given to you by, the law, constitution. You're an adult, you're allowed to do anything, but then it turns out that this person deprives you of that right.
And it's so true to add on that, because we do get a lot of clients that come into us and say, emotionally, I am broken. So when you're emotionally broken, it has to start from somewhere. It has to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
So as we're celebrating Women's Month, we're reminding women that your voice matters. Thank you, Naledi. You may continue.
Thank you, Nono. So a very, very important one, which is new also, which expands on the definition of domestic violence, is that of exposing a child to domestic violence. Children who witness abuse are also secondary victims. So they are recognized as victims in the act. So they obviously will suffer emotional or psychological trauma, even if they are not abused themselves, right? So as we all know, the law looks after and protects the rights of children. So if you expose your children to domestic violence, then you are guilty of, you may be found guilty of an offense that is domestic violence. And I really, really like this section, because you know, in your work, also Nono, also in my work, we see a lot of this happening. Clients would come and say that they are beaten in front of their children or psychologically abused and so forth. There's also another form. This one is not new, but I'd really like us to discuss it today because so many people are suffering with this one, and that's financial abuse. Wow. Financial abuse is so rampant, and many people don't understand or don't know that it's happening to them. So financial abuse, for example, would be somebody abusing you via finances. For instance, if you have a partner whose responsibility is to pay the bond every month, and whenever they fight with you, their response is they are not going to pay the bond, or they don't pay the bond, or they don't buy you toiletries because they don't like you, or they've had an argument with you. Another example is you see, and it's also linked to elderly abuse. You'll find that a gogo has been left at home with 5 grandchildren, and the mothers and fathers of those children are living elsewhere, leaving her with the sole responsibility of looking after the children, and they sometimes take the SASSA cards that affords the children a child grant, right? So granny, from her own older person's grant or SASSA pension grant, has to look after the children. That is financial abuse. It's impossible for a grandma to look after 5 children on a grant.
We are going to break. We're taking a break. See you in a short while. Okay. Childhood trauma is very dangerous to a young child, because as an adult you will struggle to move on. You will develop PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. You will develop anger, where you will have now to go for anger management. Some will say, I don't know where this comes from. I just feel like I'm angry out of nowhere. But anger stems from somewhere. And most of the angers that I have dealt with, it actually stems from domestic violence. Thank you, Naledi. You may continue.
Thank you, Nono. That is a very, very important point. And the act, following on from the exposing children to domestic violence, puts a responsibility on us as society. It says that if you suspect that a child is being abused, an elderly person or a person living with disabilities, so in other words, a vulnerable person is being abused, you have a duty to report that abuse, right? You can report it to the police station or to a social worker. And if you don't, unfortunately, you can be found guilty of a crime. So it's no longer in the hands of just the victim. She or he is not the only person who is enabled with, the possibility of seeking help. No. So now we as society, it's on us as well. So it's a societal responsibility that we have to take. Another one is professionals are also mandated to report domestic violence. So if a teacher, for instance, suspects that a child is abused at home, that teacher has a duty to report that. If a child, for instance, goes to the doctor and the doctor, through consulting, suspects that the child is going through abuse, that doctor has got a duty to report. And if you fail to report, there will be, or there can be, legal consequences. So that is something that's very important to remember.
Thank you, Naledi. I think as society, we will do our duties as expected. As society, we have a lot of expectations. People have to follow the story that is taking place now in El Dorado Park, where now the mother is also going to be jailed because of the child that was being abused in front of her, and the child is now lost, passed away.
100%.
and was buried yesterday.
100%. So now the duty is on all of us. So the neighbors, anybody who witnesses or even suspects. I like the fact that they say suspect, right? They're not saying if you suspect, you report and then the person will be thrown in jail. No, an investigation should take place. It's better to be wrong when coming to a child than keeping quiet and then that child ends up being dead, just like the child you are talking about.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Thank you. Yes, we can carry on.
Okay, so once you have established that there is domestic violence, now I think we are clear about the additions to the definition. We'll just roll it back. This is a process that people understand and know, but I think it's worth going through it because maybe there's somebody who doesn't know.
Yes.
So if you experience domestic violence or abuse at home, you can report this matter. You go to your nearest magistrate court. So your nearest magistrate court being the magistrate court in your area. So if you are in Diepsloot, for instance, the closest magistrate court to your house will be the Diepsloot Magistrates Court, the Diepsloot Domestic Violence Court. So they've got a special court in Diepsloot that deals specifically with domestic violence. You will go there with your ID document, your proof of residence, evidence of the abuse if you have, and the detail of the person who is abusing you. You take that information to the clerk of the court and you ask them for a protection order. Usually, because the court will look at, on a balance of probabilities, is this person really being abused? You will get an order on the day or at the very least the next day, right? This order is called an interim protection order. An interim protection order is exactly that. It protects you immediately. So once it has been served on the perpetrator, the victim is protected from that point on. But this order is not permanent, right? So after it's served, there is a date on the order. It's called a return date. The person who is accused of domestic violence can then come to court on a particular day as instructed by the court and then tell the court why the court should not find them to have committed domestic violence.
You are listening to Radio 18.1 Exchange.
Thank you so much, our listeners. We are back. This is a very heated conversation. Before we continue, I'd like to acknowledge Nondobeko Zama. Thank you, and it is indeed a great conversation. Thank you so much. And Naledi, before you can proceed, I'd like to find out something, we do have women that are coming to us and saying that the perpetrator did not sign the protection order, they actually refusing. What steps can be taken?
Okay, so I'm going to answer that in the context of Diepsloot, for instance. So once the clerk of the court has given you the interim protection order, right, you need to serve it on the perpetrator for it to be in force. So usually the police who are close to the domestic violence court, so in Diepsloot, the police station is just by the court. The police will escort you to go and serve the order. If the perpetrator or the person who's accused of abuse refuses to sign that order, the police can make a statement or an affidavit to confirm that this person, although he refused to sign, has received the order. So that order will still be in place even though the perpetrator refused to sign.
Wow, this is very much important because most women don't really know. They end up giving up and saying that the law did not take its course,
Yeah, the good thing about it is that you don't have to do this yourself. There are people who are designated to assist you with service of these protection orders. It would be really unfair to expect a victim who has been victimized, abused, all of that, to now be expected to face their abuser and serve that document on them. No. SAPS will help, and the sheriff of the court can also serve that document.
Thank you so much. Listeners are saying this is a very informative session.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Let me remind the people of Diepsloot that we do have a family court in Diepsloot. Family court, it includes your GBV, it includes domestic violence, it includes maintenance, very much important. The court is inside the police station. For you to be allowed to go to the court, you have to via through the police station reception. So you just ask, where is the court? The police that is working on that day will definitely guide you where the court is. It is inside our police station, which is in extension 2. Thank you. You may continue, Naledi.
Alright, so once the order has been served, you as a victim are supposed to be protected. So if the protection order says that the perpetrator is not allowed to verbally abuse you, physically abuse you, or intimidate you, if that person does that, any of those acts, then that person can be arrested. So that order, that interim, even though the name says interim, it is a proper court order. It is in full effect up until you return back to court, and the court can either finalize the order or dismiss it, depending on the circumstances.
I think I have a follow-up question. For how long does the protection order stand? Does it have an expiry date?
Once it's finalized.
When it is now granted?
It does not have an expiry date. And I am pleading with people who have a person has a protection order against their lover, for instance, and they reconcile, and then the lover tells the victim to go and cancel the order, and then the domestic violence starts all over again. So please don't cancel those orders. They will protect you, and they protect you forever.
I'm going to ask you again to repeat. For how long does the protection order stands? I hope women out there are listening.
A protection order will last for as long as you do not cancel it. So, ladies, do not cancel these protection orders. Even if you have reconciled with the person who is the perpetrator, just put it nicely in a file and forget about it. Should the abuse begin again, you know you've got an active order that has a warrant of arrest, and that person can be arrested and taken to jail for abusing you.
Thank you for that information. I hope women are listening, because many women get manipulated in saying it's 5 years now, your protection order does not stand anymore, I can do whatever I want with you. And going back to financial abuse, once a woman file a protection order while they're working, the husband will say, don't work, I will support you, I'll take care of you, and you end up not working. Then after 5 years, the abuse starts. So that means now you have to rely on them for everything, and you now saying you alone because the protection order is not working for you anymore. So ladies, a protection order, it will stand until. Thank you so much for this information, Naledi.
Yes, do not cancel those protection orders. And this is really not legal advice, but I think being financially dependent on somebody is very, very dangerous. So women must try to get skills, try to keep being employed if possible, so that they don't have to these challenges.
Okay. There's another message from Prince of Africa. Thank you, Prince. Prince saying, I'm proud of this show, guys. Well done, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you, Prince.
Yes, we can continue.
Okay, so over and above So once you've received the protection order, you are protected and you are protected for life. So we've established that. All right. So then what happens when the protection order says that you are not to be physically abused and verbally abused? And then the perpetrator starts to psychologically abuse you or to spiritually abuse you. What do you do then? So you are covered. So what you do then is you return to court and you indicate that there have been further instances of abuse that are not indicated in the court order. So I would like the court to vary the order. So that is just to change it in order to add new forms of abuse. And then we do the dance again. He has a right to go and speak, make representations and speak for himself to say why that order shouldn't be changed. And if he's unsuccessful, then the order will be changed to include the new forms of abuse.
Wow.
Also, what happens is that perpetrators would then not abuse the victim that got the order and start abusing people around them. That is a form of domestic violence as well, and they are covered. So, or they themselves will not abuse you anymore, but instruct their friends or other people,
Family members,
to abuse you and attack you. That is also not allowed.
Wow.
And you can be protected.
So this is very
against
much
that.
important. We didn't know. Now we know that the protection order can also be changed. And you
Yes.
can add new forms of abuse that arises. I've seen mostly that arises is financial abuse, you know, where the children will struggle under the protection order because it has been filed, it has been granted. So children will not eat.
You see, so that would be a new, if in the initial order that was not added, that would be a new form of abuse. And luckily for the children, the mother still has recourse in the maintenance court. So if the father of the children or the mother, whoever is doing this, the abuse,
Yes.
right? If that person is not supporting their children, they can be taken to the maintenance court. So having a protection order does not preclude you from other legal recourse. So if you have a protection order, you can still pursue a criminal case against the person. So if your protection order relates to assault, you can still go to through the criminal justice system, and that person can still be taken to jail for assaulting you, right? So if the children are not being fed or bought anything, you still have a right to go to the maintenance court and get an order against this person.
Wow. This is good news, really. I hope women out there are listening, especially women in Diepsloot, because we are working in Diepsloot.
Yes.
We are the service providers in Diepsloot. Thank
Yeah.
you, Naledi.
And we have, we also assist through our law clinic. We assist with maintenance applications as well. So if you feel that your partner is not supporting it sufficiently or not supporting at all, you are welcome to come through and we can help you with an application for maintenance.
Okay. There's a message that has come through now. They say, couldn't we say that the protection orders encourage partners to stay with the perpetrator since you just continuously add new forms of abuse the perpetrator does? Can I repeat it?
Yes, please.
Couldn't we say that the protection orders encourage partners to stay with the perpetrator since you just continuously add new forms of abuse the perpetrator does? Okay, maybe I should answer this one, Naledi. The onus lies in you as a woman. If you can pack your bags and go, please go. Don't wait for another form of abuse to happen so that it can be added in a protection order, because it will be uncomfortable for you to be there each time you're waiving your protection order. You do this, I will add, you know. So we did have a lot of clients saying that I have a protection order and this was done to me and I can't go anywhere. We encourage women to stand up for themselves, you know.
And to add to that, it's not always possible to leave at that particular moment. So if, for example, you are unemployed, you are not from Deep Sloot, for example, your family is far, you have no support, it's not possible for you to leave at that point. But while you are still in that situation, at least you are still protected. Another thing is the protection order is in force even when you have separated with the person. Women are abused even after they have separated with their partners, and many women are actually killed when they leave or have left these relationships. So it's not as cut and dry as saying just leave. It's not always possible. It's encouraged, but it's not always possible for some people. So I think we must, understand their circumstances and have a bit of grace in that regard.
It's very much important for the sake of the children. If you can go, if you have a means of finding a place, if you are employed, this is your freedom. But be aware that even if you have moved away, your partner might find ways to follow you and continuously abusing you. Yes, you can still aid whatever form of abuse is now directed to you, but find a place where you can be safe together with your children and have that peace and have that freedom.
And if you can't do that immediately, at least work towards a plan to get out of that situation, because we've seen how many women get killed and are abused in our country. So please.
Thank you. Okay.
So another new thing that they've added to the act, I'm going to put a disclaimer on this one because I haven't seen it being enforced.
Okay.
Yet. It sounds great, it sounds amazing, but please, also people who are sending messages, they can say if they've seen this happening. But it says that there is something called a safety monitoring notice, where if a victim, for instance, is living with an abuser, they can request the police to monitor from time to time.
Wow.
So the police can check in on the victim and say, hi, are you okay? Is he or she abusing you? They can visit, they can text to just check in to see if there is no domestic violence happening in that household. So I think that's an interesting one.
Very interesting.
I must say, I don't know if it's applicable or it's applied on the ground, but I'm actually very interested to know. I think this is a really nice one.
It is very nice. I'm hoping that people that are listening might share if they did really experience.
I'd be grateful.
It will be great, yes.
And then you can also, and again, it depends on the court. It's before you go to court, one thing I can advise an applicant or a complainant, before you go to court, give the court a call, right? And ask them, what are you required to bring, what's necessary, so that you can just get a lay of the land and just know what to bring along with you. They say that. Again, I haven't really seen this one as well, and I'm interested to know if it's applicable. You can actually bring your domestic violence application or protection order application online. I also haven't seen this, so I think it's worth giving the court a call, the court in your area, and asking if this will be a possibility, because courts are not always a walking distance away, and we know that victims go through so much. Sometimes simple things like having money for a taxi or an Uber is not possible. So if you can do it online and you can use your smartphone to do the application, I think that does so much for access to justice. So like I said, I don't know, but I'm very interested to know if this is happening on the ground.
Wow. Okay. Okay, we can continue. We're almost running out of time. Let's now do the last question. Why is GBV Forum important? So important to your organization as Werksman Attorneys?
Oh wow, where can I start? I used to actually think I have so much passion and I'm going to change the world and I can do this on my own until I actually joined the forum and I met like-minded people who do amazing work, who are passionate, who they pour their heart and soul into the community, and it has taught me that together we can conquer anything because the forum supports my clinic, our law clinic, by
Yes.
referrals. We get to share skills, knowledge, and just like social cohesion. So together we are improving the lives of people who live in Deep Street. And like the conversation we're having
Yes.
on our way, where I said that Deep Street may seem like a community that is poor, right? Financially we may be poor, but in terms of support, organizations, services, there's always somewhere to go in Deep Street. It is a very rich community and I am so grateful to be a part of it. And upwards and onwards from 2012 to 2025 and beyond. So I really appreciate the work of the forum and I thank you guys for letting me in and being part of this family, and I hope that we do great things going forward.
Wow. I'm so happy to hear that. We are all working in making a better Deep Street, better community of our people. Let's remind the listeners that this is all about the Women's Month. In Deep Street, we're celebrating it with style every year. This year, we're doing a walkabout. We'll be working from Extension 6 to Extension 2. Extension 2, the venue will be at the Rape Post Medical Care Clinic, which is next to OR Tambo Clinic. So some of us, we're not going to walk. We'll be setting up and waiting for those that will come in sweating, from the walking. We'll be there waiting for you with waters. Yeah. We're still saying the voice of the women matters. Women, you are enough. Be who you are, your strength. We see your strength as women. And you are beautiful inside and outside. I'm going to quote Angel Bassett. Angel Bassett or Angelina Bassett, something like that. She's an actor. She's an American black actor. She said, if they say pack and go, you're saying, I'm not going anywhere. I am the foundation. I made this family. And if they saying you are not beautiful, and you saying I come from a descendant of beauties, I am a queen. Women, we are queens. Before I knock off, I'm going to give our contact numbers. We are the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. I am going to give the 0800 number, which is a 24-hour number, 0800 567 567. 0800 567 567. In Deep Street, those that knows our container is in Extension 2 next to the fire station. We're operating from 8:30 to 3:30. And my number, it's name callback. So don't worry about I don't have a time. It does not work 24 hours, but at least I am reachable by a callback. So my number is 083 649 8639. 083 649 8639. Thank you. Thank you, Naledi, for a wonderful day. You've made my day, and I hope you've made our listeners' day today. It has been very much important. I'm hoping that we'll come together to the station again with a different topic so that our people in Deep Street get information, and whoever is listening, because this is an African station, can really learn from the little that we give in an hour. Thank you.
Thank you.